Hello, I'm Carolyn Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. This podcast began in January 2021, initially as love letters to the SEO industry. My intention was to provide information about the business of SEO and hopefully, in some small way, improve the relationship between an SEO agency, depending on who it is, and the businesses they serve, so that things between us maybe had a chance to be less adversarial. And also, based on my testing data, my intention is to provide hard evidence that Google is not infallible. And often what businesses think is the responsibility of the SEO or something they don't like is really something that should be laid at the front door of Google and is not the fault of the SEO. So here's a new season. Let's discover how to do that together. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Confessions of an SEO. We made it! And with each year comes, the next survey, because I do need your help. I need your feedback. Now, I'm going to put the link. It's a SurveyMonkey survey. And the first question is kind of formally uncomfortable because I really want to know if you'd like for things to keep going, she said as she kept going. So yeah, it's a bit Sally Fields, but it would be nice to know if you like the content, if you would miss it, if I made, millions of dollars and decided to spend my day alternating between farming garlic and sailing on European river cruises. Just saying. Plus, there are questions on there that are asking, what kind of topics do you want to hear about? And I'm beginning to understand why there are many interview podcasts out there. And I'm not knocking them. I'm admiring them. And I'm sure that it all balances out because while I may spend a lot of time teasing out different topics every week, they have to do a lot of planning and coordinating with schedules and probably not the absence of some editing. So if you are feeling generous, text me with an SEO topic, either a business type question or strategy type. It really doesn't matter. I've set up a text number. It's 737-225-8228. And don't worry, I'll put that in the description. Now, I'm probably going to keep the survey open up until Valentine's Day, February 14th. It's either that or Groundhog Day. February is a bit skimpy on the holidays. But anyway, I just want to thank you in advance. Now, if you're wanting to stay up with the indexation research in 2024, Crawl or No Crawl is over on Substack. It's $18 a month, and you get fresh, exclusive, hot indexation and crawling data reports. So you can find it. It's crawlornocrawl.substack.com. Now, I'm still offering to take server logs and run them through a tool that spits out a spreadsheet with only the Googlebot crawls, so you can see what Google is interested in crawling on your site. Now, at this time, that is complimentary if you have either a free or a paid account on the Crawl or No Crawl on Substack. So check it out. Now, as for today's topic, I thought I'd just talk about the best thing in SEO and the worst thing in SEO. So what's the best thing in SEO? Why, ranking number 1, of course. Okay, let's get that out of the room. All right, so what is the worst thing in SEO? Now, bear in mind, this is my show, so it's going to be my opinion. So here it goes. I think the worst thing in SEO is how it seems that those that are making their living providing SEO only judge everything they don't know by the question, and this is in quotes, will it help me get my site or my client site to page 1? Okay, I get it, all right? But it is exhausting. It's the never-ending, relentless quest for the one thing that will make something rank on page 1. Now, I know I can wax on poetically about the elegance of a linking structure or the calm symmetry of reading server logs. But the sheer complexity of search has so many fascinating components. And of course, it's all designed to keep us seeking how to get to page one, right? So it's kind of like it all feeds on itself, like a snake eating its tail. Over the holidays, Adam and I went to a real movie theater to see the movie Ferrari. Now, I've never owned a Ferrari, and I don't really want to, but that's not the point. In the movie, there's a scene where he talks about the racing business, and he referred to it as their deadly passion and terrible joy. Everything he did was in service to the one purpose that drove him, literally winning races. In the dark, I sort of huddled over my cell phone, and I was sending myself those words as a possible topic for this week's podcast. So, okay, SEO is only figuratively deadly, but it kind of is energetically for our business and for our industry. It feels like it's the same thing. So I understand. Our question is, does whatever I'm looking at help me win the race? Now, I, for one, prefer to think of what we do as a profession, something we address with dignity and respect. That not only do I want to get to page one, I want to know why I landed there. I'm not interested in just throwing everything at something to achieve it and then go and do the same thing again to try and repeat it. I want to be able to have some knowledge on how to reproduce those results. And I know we don't know something by taking someone else's word for it to do something, right? So if someone says this is how you do it, and you go out and you do it, and you get the result, that's a certain type of knowing, but you only know it because you did something someone else said, and you took their word for it, or you just assume because they said it that it's going to be true. But I think we only really know when we do it ourselves. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to what someone is, but approach it from a reasonably skeptic mind. That yes, I know you told me the sky is blue and clouds are white, but I'm going to go outside and I'm going to look and see, is that accurate? I use a ridiculous example to illustrate. So anyway, I always think, you can tell where someone is on the road of SEO by what is important to them. And many times, let's say we're looking at someone who's an amateur SEO, someone who thinks they know how to do it in today's search engines, but doesn't actually do it themselves, maybe. And the first question out of their mouth when they're shown something that they didn't know but is potentially gold, let's say when it comes to something maybe on-page optimization. And I know you've heard this, and if we're honest, we all know we thought this at one time. I raised my hand, guilty as charged, 12 or 16 years ago. So what is it that we ask? Well, we look at that thing we just heard about or discovered or realized. And our first question is, how long will it take me to get to page one? Now, nowadays, that's a dead giveaway to me. Not that it matters. It's just the way I think, right? I like to know why things happen, whether it's in search or in life. But, that how long does it take me to get to page one? I know where it comes from. I like to get paid too. I like to get paid value for my work. And there's something, that I realize that is also part of the puzzle for me that's essential. And there's a passion for constantly learning what it takes to rank in today's SERPs. Now, if you do this for a living like I do, what I'm describing is kind of like the friggin' opposite of a set of SOPs. Those are standard operating procedures. Now, most agencies run on them. Most agencies have no trouble producing reports so that their clients feel like they're getting what they're paying for. Yet, most agencies struggle with producing results. I don't think these two things are unrelated. Now, I'm not saying all agencies. I know several that are not just solid on their SOPs, but also in their results. And they're up to date on general principles and fundamentals of SEO. But the ones that use the same old SOPs they've always used in what I often refer to as a different Google, like the Google of 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago, and I could even argue 6 months ago. Those are the ones that I'm frankly worried about taking our industry down. It's hard for, let's say, a business who hires an agency or a consultant to kind of know the difference. And that's what I hope this podcast as a whole will shed some light on. But there is a fundamental structural flaw in the agency model that largely goes unaddressed. And if I could describe it this way, I'm not going to talk about it as SEO. I'm going to talk about it as a restaurant. In a restaurant, you have customers, wait staff, and kitchen crew, and managers. But basically, these are the ones that move things along. And they all have expectations and responsibilities. And there is someone there in that mix that's called the expediter. Like they'll either call them a food runner or an expo or whatever, but their job is to make sure that what the wait staff says the customer ordered matches what comes out of the kitchen. They work like a liaison. Now I'm going to bring it back to SEO. So when it comes to SEO in an agency, there is no one person or position at the agency typically that serves as an expediter to review the SOPs, to make sure that whatever SEO principle they serve is still served by that action. So I get it. Treating SEO like a science and knowing why things work the way they do or not is not exactly something that can be broken down into specific steps for the benefit of every single client in every single situation in every local geography. This, the expediter type evaluation, is not work that can be done without human intervention. Because of that, and I might be taking on some heat with this one, AI is not going to save our industry. And getting it, once you know, having something that moves the needle, once you get it, it doesn't mean that it stays that way forever and ever. Amen. Because frequent Google changes adjust the weight of different factors that impact scoring and ranking. So this combination, this volatile reality, is what makes SEO in both the service of it as an agency and the receipt of it as a business both a deadly passion and terrible joy. We have a business model that requires all kinds of approaches, but not the least of which is the stark realization and acceptance that some of this cannot be set up to be idiot-proof. The SEO business seems to want the easy button, and that's that one thing. And we constantly get our hopes up only to dash them on rocks, and quite frankly, these are rocks that are moving. The only thing that keeps us sane, in my opinion, and for some, I'd love it to be all of us, but for some of us in SEO, in an agency, to be committed to the quest, to the search, not to some treasure map with a chest of gold or timeline. We're still going to make money, but this activity within our industry, this is what the expense is in serving SEO to a business. It's not just coming up with a set of SOPs and running them through. It's actually knowing which SOPs will move the needle and create the different result for the business. So, no, not everything we need to know is going to be translated into the shortest line to page 1. And that's a terrible joy. And that's also it for this week. Today, January 9th, I will be on Olga Czar's podcast. Now, her podcast is called SEO Podcast by SEOsly. So I'll put the YouTube link in the description. And I'll also be presenting at Lisa Parziali's virtual conference that happens on January 18th through the 21st. Now, it's 4 days of actionable information about what's currently going on in the SERPs. My presentation is going to be for the non-SEO website designers and developers. Like just enough to know what you need to know in order not to F it up for your website clients. Keynote speakers are Kate Buck Jr., Roger Bryant, and DC Glenn. It's all virtual, people. No flights, no hotel, no rental car. It's not too late to get tickets. Agency Fast Track 2024. I'll put the link in the description. And if I may, please remember to take the survey. It's short. It'll be less than 2 minutes. If you're feeling generous after helping, go leave a review somewhere about Confessions. It's made its way into over 100 countries, and the audience is growing. I'd like to keep that up. I'll also post links to the tools I use in my forensic work. One of them is Quora. If you want to save 20% on a subscription, you can find that. I also have a new Search Console tool. It's a Chrome plugin, and it automates some of the tedious manual activities we do in there. Plus, there's connectors into the Google Indexing API as well as Index Now. Thank you to the supporters of Confessions. Thank you for being a listener. If you like this type of SEO content and stories and are not going to be shocked by a little Google bashing, keep coming back. And if there are topics you'd like me to cover in 2024, let me know. Email confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com or text me. I'll put the number in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the SERPs.